Driver testing. So most of you have started or you will be starting the process of getting your driver's license. So written tests are offered by Service Ontario Centres. So to do your written test, you have to go to one of these Service Ontario Centres and they'll give you the test. I highly recommend study before the test. There is a book which we're going to talk about because they will ask you very, very technically. It's not just what's a yield sign. There's all kinds of little percentages of different numbers and stats that you need to know as well. So to get your license, you must pass 3 types of tests. There's a written test, there's actually 2 driving tests to get your full license, and there's an eye exam as well. So what you should bring to your road test? Well, you need to bring a vehicle, and the vehicle must be in good working order. The driver can actually refuse to do your test if you are in an unsafe vehicle, and you also need to bring your license. So the process is this. You write your written test and they give you a G1 license. That allows you to drive with another licensed driver. You can't drive, by yourself or on the highway or I believe at nighttime, not sure about that one. But that's your G1, so you need to bring that license. Then after about a year, you can apply to get your G2. It's a second test. So then what you have to do is bring that license. You always bring your most up-to-date license. So if you're a G1 driver, you must also bring a licensed driver with you because remember, you can't drive by yourself and you have to get the vehicle there to the Service Ontario to actually do the test. So who is allowed to ride in the vehicle during your road test? Well, basically just you and the tester. No one else is allowed in the vehicle. Now we talked about this a little briefly when I said it has to be a safe car. So under what conditions could the examiner refuse to test you? Well, if the vehicle's in poor working order, so if they see that it's like the brakes are bad or something's bad or wipers aren't working, they're not going to get into an unsafe vehicle. Also, if they're suspecting that you've done drugs or alcohol, that's not safe for the tester and he can refuse the test as well. Also, if you start and he sees right off the bat that you have extremely poor skills in driving, he's going to stop the test. It's much better if you do your written test and you do driver's ed, then you can actually go for your G2 much, much quicker. You only have to wait about 8 months instead of the full year. Also, your insurance is lower. But the point of that 8 months to a year is to actually build your driving skills. So if he sees that you haven't ever driven the car before, you have no driving skills, he can stop the test right away. So the total cost for your G1 license is $158.28, and that's a total. That's for the written test and the driving test. That's a total. So it says, what 3 items are included in the cost of your G1 license? Well, there's a knowledge test, a G2 road test, and then you get your 5-year license. You have 5 years. Now, if you go over your 5 years before you get your G license, you have to start the process over again. So you have to make sure that within the 5 years that you've gone for your second road test, and that's going to cost you an additional $89.25. I also mentioned earlier that it's important to study for the written test. There's all kinds of little facts and figures that keep changing from year to year. And you're going to get that in the driver's handbook. And the handbook's about $15 plus tax. You can also get this online for free. So you don't have to actually pay the $15 to get a book in hand. You can do that for free. So when you're doing your driver's license, basically there's a written test. After the written test, you get your G1 license. If you pass that successfully, that gives you 8 months to a year, depending if you do driver's ed, to get your G2 license. Once you have your G2 license, you have 5 years to get your full license G. And if you don't, you have to start the process all over again, including the written test. So it's important to see the thing to completion. Also, the quicker you get it done, the quicker your insurance comes down as well. So it's actually better from an insurance perspective.